Aw, son of a mother. A few months ago, I said this. Stay tuned, I got a lot of cool stuff planned that you're not gonna want to miss. Yeah, I wish I could have told my stupid self to shut up. SpongeBob SquarePants, star of the platforming classic Battle for Bikini Bottom, a few other solid titles like the movie game, and mostly junk. Mostly a whole lot of junk. Well, this is what we've been building up to, I guess. We've already covered all of the good, or at least notable games in the SpongeBob franchise, but anybody who's anybody will tell you, there's a whole lot more than just that. The few platformers under the sea really set a bad impression of what the rest of the Bikini Bottom video games have in store. It shouldn't really be that much of a surprise though. Video games based on cartoons, more times than not, are total train wrecks. That's why when we have something good, something like Battle for Bikini Bottom, it's kind of a big deal. That was one of the earlier games in this long-running franchise too, so it sucks knowing it is all downhill from here. I went through every single possible SpongeBob game I could find, and this right here, this is most of them, and today, we're going to be talking about all of these. Oh, barnacles. There are honestly still dozens of titles remaining to look at, and I just knew looking at every single one of them in one video was bound to fuel my dwindling sanity. So, for the sake of said sanity, we're going to be avoiding the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS today. Don't worry, I've already started collecting for those consoles for a future video, but we already got like 10 games just for this video. Let me breathe. Also, we're going to be sticking to just SpongeBob today. There are plenty of crossover games with other Nickelodeon characters on top of all of this solo stuff, but man, I'm just one dude. Let me breathe. Ultimately, what I got together here is a variety pack of games featured across multiple consoles. Some old, some new, just a little bit of everything. Except mobile games. None of those. I ain't touching that minefield. So no matter what machine you spend most of your time on, maybe we'll find the perfect game for you. Or maybe you're just here to see me slowly hate everything SpongeBob. Why are you like this? Well, speaking of Battle for Bikini Bottom, there's no better place to start than the PC version. No, not the PC version of Rehydrated, the original PC version, which is apparently a totally different game. Luckily, I got the game to run pretty easily. I'm not too savvy with retro computer games, but this one was pretty straightforward. The installation process also sent me right back to my childhood, dude. We didn't need no fancy Steam UI back then. Just a basic grading with simple yellow text and quickly flashing by screenshots. Gaming will never get better than this. It is so interesting to take a trip on the Wayback Machine to see how computer games used to be, man. Things were different. So the premise of the game is kinda similar to the console version. Plankton's robots begin disobeying their master. At the same time, SpongeBob and Patrick are wishing for robots. And then boom! Destruction begins. However, one main difference is the voices for the robots are much better.
Get lost, dipsqueak.
Yes. Much better. These character models, by the way, these are the damnedest things I ever did see, man. In-game, totally fine. They look exactly how you would expect, but these cutscenes, oh man. Poor Sponge's eyes are about to pop out of their socket. Couple of texture issues here or there, but to be honest, looking into SpongeBob's soul is not too out of the realm of possibility for what I expected today. Oh, but first and foremost, before we start the game, I gotta dig through the options. Yeah, I'm one of those people. Okay, we can toggle sound, music, we can toggle the entirety of story mode. Yeah, those are all options we would come to expect. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, so this isn't a platformer like the game that we're more so familiar with. This is actually a point-and-click minigame collection. You pick an area of Bikini Bottom, you got a series of minigames that you go through to get to the end, and then you just keep on doing that until you win. A lot of quizzes, too. They make sure to give you a quiz in every single level. This is a kid's game, right? Yeah, man, nothing kids love more than quizzes in their video games based on very popular cartoons. How many letters are there in Gary's name? Oh yeah, not enough, definitely. I'm so glad this game lets me finally voice my opinions. And it's about time too. I always thought the word Gary was too small. Gary, that was definitely the way to go. You gotta really elongate that name. There's really not that much more to this, and honestly, that's kind of okay. It's not fun, like not at all, let's not twist our words here, but let's be real, if you're not a little kid in the mid to late 1990s, you are way out of the core demographic. I played games like this all the time when I was a kid, so yeah, at the time, This seems like it would do the job fine. The platformer was always better, that is simply an objective fact, but this is a completely different beast that clearly a lot of people are very nostalgic for. And in fact, there are actually 3 other PC games too. The movie game, Employee of the Month, and Operation Krabby Patty. Sadly, getting these games playable wasn't as simple as Battle for Bikini Bottom, so I couldn't get first-hand experience with it, but thankfully, with the power of internet video, we get to see that yeah, they are certainly all more point-and-click adventures. Neat. From a historical perspective, it is definitely interesting to look back at these, since it is highly doubtful they will ever get resold in the modern-day market. I mean, hey, Employee of the Month has Naked Mr. Krabs, so, you know, a very specific niche was met with this one, but it's just not for me.
Good grief, he's naked!
But I was never really a PC gamer anyway. You put me in front of a console or a handheld, and I am easily right at home. And speak of the devil, yes, the Game Boy Advance may be off the hook this episode, but I said nothing about the Game Boy Color. Legend of the Lost Spatula, the game that can claim the title of the very first SpongeBob SquarePants video game ever. A time before they knew the correct spelling of Krabby Patty. Yes, such a time did indeed exist. Not a bad chiptune remix of the main theme on the title screen to get us started here. Hell, even the in-game music is a bit of a jam. We may actually be in for a pleasant surprise. Who am I kidding here? I've already made fun of this game in earlier videos. Mrs. Puff, ma'am, I believe you need to go see a doctor. Please, my fish. She is very sick. Boy, am I ripped! Are you though? My favorite thing in this game by far is just pressing down when I'm standing still. Best thing. You know what though, much respect, this is actually kind of an open world game. You're basically looking to find a golden spatula to become the ocean's greatest fry cook. And to do so, you just run around Bikini Bottom at your own pace, finding items to unlock paths and so on. On a technical level, it is pretty impressive. On a practical level though, hey, it's not very good. Are you surprised? It mostly just boils down to being not fun to control. The game takes a lot of jumping to navigate the world properly, and you can never tell where platforms are. A real recipe for disaster there. Whenever you jump, you move faster than if you were just walking, so you are actively encouraged to jump all the time, which means you're gonna get hit a lot, and then you're gonna die, all because he ripped his pants. Ooh, I found a treasure chest. What's inside? April Fools. I think I just passed out for a second. But hey, it is the very first SpongeBob game after all. Surely they will iron out the problems in no time. Maybe they'll try this 2D platformer thing again, perhaps on a home console that plays CDs, called the PlayStation. Oh hey, look at that. SpongeBob Super Sponge. Was pretty surprised to find out this is on the PS1. It eventually got ported over to the Game Boy Advance, and that's how I played it back in the day. But now that we're on home console, I get to finally see the true way to play this game. Hoo-hoo. Super Sponge Definitive Edition. SpongeBob wants to get Patrick a signed photo of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. However, the heroes want something back in return, in the form of having you do random things for them. All of which are completed by platforming. Of course, wouldn't have it any other way. Compared to the Lost Spatula, this one is definitely a lot more familiar. It is a purely linear set of platformer levels with a bunch of trinkets to collect. That is more like it. And I do really like 2D platformers on the PS1, so maybe, this is the one for me. But is it just me here? Or is SpongeBob a bit too animated? Something here simply doesn't look right. When you press up, he just changes a few pixels, but when you press down, it gives us the smoothest animation of the game. I'll admit, this makes me very uncomfortable. Okay, jellyfishing net, get. Grab a jellyfish, throw it back out as ammunition. Oh, I hate this. We do got some decent references though. I mean, there's a whole level where you platform on the hooks that start pulling you up towards the surface that will kill you. You know, that is a reference, all right. You eventually get to travel to Sandy's Tree Dome too, which apparently is 1,000,000 miles tall. To be fair, vertical platforming is something you really don't see every day, but you know what would make it even better? If you were constantly on the verge of death by not having enough water, so you have to stop what you're doing, stand in water for a few seconds, and then continue platforming. It's a lot of fun. Also, if the controls were good, then maybe it would be better, because oh my god, this sucks. This sucks so much. Awesome death jingle though, I gotta give him credit to that. Much better than Mario's. I guess one of the main gimmicks with this adventure is every world is going to introduce a new gadget for you to play around with. Because soon you gain access to the Coral Blower. Oh no, I think it makes SpongeBob even more slippery to control. Oh no. I just don't understand what they're going for here. Most of the stages are the standard linear affair with platforming that is platforming, alright. But I got to this point where this one level wanted to be all open world and maze-like. You gotta grab ammunition with the blower so you can break down a few barriers. But why though? This level is designed terribly. There are branching pathways left, right, and center, and unless I just got lucky by falling down the correct pit that led to the end, the level is only open for the sake of it, assuming you would be in favor of combing every nook and cranny for every single collectible when it ultimately means nothing. Man, I can't even say the game looks good. Some of the sprite work is pretty fine, but this weird mishmash of 3D and 2D sprites and everything kind of looks flat and 3D at the same time. It looks so ugly. Perhaps 2D platforming just isn't the way to go for our adorable little sponge here. I know that's what most of the GBA and DS games are like, so maybe my opinion can be swayed when I eventually get to those, but hey, after these two games, know I'm gonna go into those with the highest expectations possible. But now let's think outside the box. Maybe you did in fact enjoy the games I've talked about thus far, but there was one thing missing from your oddly specific list of requirements: vehicular combat. Well, we got the game for you. SpongeBob SquarePants Boating Bash. Oh man, the story for this one, let me tell you, it really breaks the mold. You're never gonna believe this. SpongeBob fails his driving test. Oh my god. This time is different though, introducing Seymour, letting SpongeBoy Me Bob know all about his drive course, destruction, recklessness, impairment, velocity, and escape. SpongeBob's about to go on a killing spree, isn't he? For the bulk of this game here, it kinda just feels like bumper boats. Drive around and crash into things. That's the whole package. You got the typical last man standing type mode, there's one where parts fly off of damaged vehicles that are up for grabs and the most points wins, and even some more traditional racing stages. And I'll be honest, it ain't bad. My big concern going into this would be the controls. On a home console, Boating Bash is a Wii exclusive, so I fully expected motion control shenanigans for the whole thing. But luckily, no. Just pop in an nunchuck and drive. I'll be damned, it actually controls decently. How did the driving game on Wii get controls right, but the platformer didn't? Though you can just use a Wii remote if you wanted to. The game is Wii Wheel compatible after all. It's just a hunk of plastic, it's compatible with everything. The story mode is pretty decent too, just a means to throw a bunch of different driving styles at you, and sprinkle in a few cutscenes along the way. There's a bunch of playable characters, vehicles out the wazoo, all with different attributes. I'm pretty surprised here, these developers took an idea that didn't seem like it would work on paper, and actually put a lot of love and care into it. It's not great, you know, SpongeBob wasn't gonna dethrone Mario Kart anytime soon, but for what it is, it's okay. Pretty bare bones, but not a bad time. And hell, you know what? I'm still in a bit of a Wii mode here. Let's check out another game for it. SpongeBob SquarePants. Now one look at the box art and I know what you're gonna say. What the f is a U-Draw? What, are you a normal person who doesn't know what a U-Draw is? You silly jellyfish, it was a peripheral that had a square on it that you can draw on top of using a built-in tablet to interact with the game going on the TV. You just pop the Wii remote in on the side and then boom. A Wii U gamepad prototype. How could you have gone through your life not hearing of Dude's Big Adventure before this? For what it's worth, it definitely works. You see, look, you gotta shake it to wake up Patchy the Pirate when the game starts. Money well spent. And hey, why not? Leave it to Way Forward of all companies to figure out how to get a SpongeBob game out of this. Oh god. It's a WarioWare clone? The maniacs that made Shantae, Contra 4, and would eventually go on to make the Smurfs 2 game made a WarioWare version of SpongeBob. Wow. Well, jiggle me handle, SpongeBob, they actually did it.
Jiggle me handle, SpongeBob!
It's presented exactly like a WarioWare game. Every set of minigames has a new quirky art style. For the most part, the tablet works really well, and there are multiple different gestures that the game asks you to do, and they all pretty much work, only being an issue in a couple of the games. And there's even an art studio, so you can finally make the drawing of your dreams. And throw SpongeBob on top of it. I call it bold and brash. This game is actually pretty fun. I gotta admit here, I am totally stunned that I just said that. It's nowhere near as good as any actual WarioWare game out there, but let's be real. Can you name a clone of the WarioWare games? Probably not. It is hilarious that SpongeBob is the one to take that title. Interestingly enough, while the U-Draw tablet was not exclusive to the Wii, SpongeBob SquarePants for the U-Draw was, so point to the Wii, I guess. But if for some reason you're not interested in scoring a U-Draw tablet of your own, surely there's one of you out there. Well, the game was also released on the 3DS, so there's your next best option. SpongeBob SquarePants or WarioWare Gold? Okay, we're on a roll here, we're on a roll. I want to stick to the Wii train for a little bit longer. You know, the pioneers used to ride that baby for miles, and I want to do the same. But we need a little bit more power. Let's take a look at Plankton's Robotic Revenge for the Wii U. Did the game freeze? Oh no, the title screen is a static image. Oh no. Plankton creates a new robot and decides to seek out his revenge by stealing the safe containing the Krabby Patty formula, Plankton's Robotic Revenge. They managed to sum up the entire plot right in the game's title. That is very impressive. Alright, so the premise is pretty simple here. With a character of your choice, you run around different locations of Bikini Bottom, slapping around some boxes and enemies, shooting guns. Wouldn't trust Squidward with a gun, but here we are. There's some really basic platforming you get to do. This is one of the most boring games I've ever played. Wow, man, what happened here? Clearly, and I mean clearly, right? This game is primarily set to be a multiplayer title for kids. By keeping everything super basic and simple while still giving you a consistent path to progression by upgrading your equipment, this definitely seems like it's just meant to be a distraction for children and nothing more. If you have the Wii U version though, I will give that one extra points, I guess, because thanks to the gamepad, you can play 5-player multiplayer rather than 4. Kinda neat. Don't think I'll ever get to experience this though. I asked all of my friends if they wanted to play with me and they all said no. I know, I'm as surprised as you are. So this game released in 2013. I seem to remember around this time in the early 2010s, these sort of simplistic co-op beat-em-up shooters, whatever you want to call this genre, had a bit of a trend going on. Didn't Disney have a game that was kind of similar a few years before this? Matter of fact, I also played a decent amount of Ratchet and Clank All for One, which released around the same time as that Disney game. And yeah, look at this. They are both very clearly going for the same thing here. Maybe it's just me, you know, I don't really think games like this are my thing, but man, just take one look at Ratchet. You can at least see they still wanted it to feel like a Ratchet game. I played Plankton's Robotic Revenge for an hour, and not only did the gameplay never change, not only did I have to hear Squidward repeat the same lines over and over and over again, driving me absolutely insane.
Take this, Robo-Loser! Take this, Robo-Loser!
Not only do you fight basically the same Plankton boss battle multiple times over with barely any differences, but the level themes never change. The time of day does shift around, but that's about it. This sort of sandy clifftop design, for the entire hour I played this game, this was the only theme that I got to experience. Maybe later on things do change up a little bit, but I have no reason to believe that. I don't know, maybe a pseudo sequel can make things better? Maybe one where all the SpongeBob characters can turn into superheroes? And a game I get to play on the PlayStation Vita so I can finally show this off on my channel. My lifelong dream realized. SpongeBob Hero Pants. Similar to Truth or Square, this did release on Xbox 360, but no, I don't own one like I've said before, and I'm not buying one for a couple of SpongeBob games. I have some remaining dignity that I have to uphold. Please don't laugh. I'm gonna be honest, these hero designs, I feel pretty uncomfortable. I was way out of the loop with this franchise by this point. Apparently this is all based on another SpongeBob movie from 2015, Sponge Out of Water, which I haven't seen. So not only is this game kinda similar to Plankton's Robotic Revenge gameplay-wise, but it's also based on a movie that's based on a cartoon, which once again, I have not seen. A recipe for a masterpiece if I've ever seen one. Alright, well, yeah, you know, the camera may be kinda different and we may be lacking guns this time around, but yes, this is kinda more the same as Plankton's Robotic Revenge. Just this mindless affair, pushing forward, pressing the attack button whenever something dare step in front of you, maybe doing a couple of puzzles, with the heaviest air quotes around that as possible. The big thing now though is, we can turn into superheroes. That's horrifying, thank you game. There's honestly not much more to talk about with this one, it's really that simplistic, it's just so not good. This is also the only SpongeBob game to grace the Vita. That's why the console failed. Clearly, the higher-ups, the people who are responsible for getting SpongeBob games to even exist in the first place, took notice. After Plankton's Robotic Revenge and Hero Pants, we wouldn't see another SpongeBob game on consoles until Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated in 2020. Oh, thank goodness, the story had a happy ending. We are nearing the end of the finish line here, so I figured we should talk about these two next. To the surprise of nobody, at least I hope not, we got some minigame collections as well. I figured we should start off with Lights, Camera, Pants. So many people have wanted me to check out this specific one. I must have been passing up on some massive hidden gem all this time because so many people seem to be really nostalgic for this. I'm excited to check it out. Ooh, okay, right off the bat, I can see exactly what you're all talking about. These guys are out here advertising cross saves, of all things, all the way back in 2005. SpongeBob was, unironically, way ahead of his time. So the premise here is pretty cute. The producer of The Adventures of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy TV show is looking for some new actors. So of course, leave it to SpongeBob and friends to compete for all of the different roles on offer. That's mostly it for the plot, but that is one of the most sound stories for a minigame collection I think I've ever seen. And as for the minigames themselves, well, yeah, they're pretty good. There's a bunch of 4-player ones, all of which are pretty straightforward. Get more points, finish in first place, jam out better than anyone else, really good stuff. The 2v2 ones though, this is where the game shines in my opinion. In a more typical Mario Party fashion, both parts of the team will often have different roles, but in order to win, both sides have to be good at both roles, since you will be swapping partway through. It totally goes against the Mario Party quick minigame mentality for sure, but for competition's sake, that is a great way to encourage, as the kids would say, getting good. I genuinely enjoyed my time with this game more than I thought I would, but if anything, the thing that is stopping this game from being better than it is the number of games available. Only about 30. There is definitely something here, something that could be built on for a future minigame collection, but for this initial one, the lack of replayability means that while it was enjoyable, I probably won't be returning to it anytime soon. But even still, definitely one of the better SpongeBob games out there. Which, admittedly, is still a whole lot more than I can say about this next one, Atlantis Squarepants. Did I die and go to Bikini Bottom Heaven? Oh, of course not, no. I am definitely in hell. Let's see, if you played Lights, Camera, Pants and thought it was just too much fun, well hey, maybe Atlantis Squarepants is the game for you. Similarly, we have a bunch of minigames tied to a story, this time about our heroes getting to and eventually escaping from Atlantis. Like Hero Pants, I can't say I've seen the source material that this is based on, but I do hear this is more or less the same plot anyway, so I'm well versed in Atlantis Squarepants, I guess now. The minigames though, wow, they are so mindless and they drag on for so damn long. The first thing you have to do is guide a tank around and shoot a bunch of obstacles. That's it. But it is so slow. No challenge whatsoever, and it takes like 7 minutes to get through, but it felt like 30. Then you got this sort of single-player co-op puzzle stage in a cave where Patrick and SpongeBob gotta work together and bounce off each other to get through all of the hazards that are blocking them. And this one actually took 20 minutes, but it felt like 40. The concepts that they have you play through are pretty enjoyable on paper, and for the first minute or so, it can be fun, but by the end, you are practically falling asleep on your controller. Lights, Camera, Pants really did this so well, man. You gotta make sure that you're invested and having fun at all times. Once the moment-to-moment gameplay feels like an absolute slog, you have failed. Point blank, you have failed. I was kind of taken aback because I feel like I had a bunch of requests for this one too, but actually, I found out that it might not even matter. Looks like everybody who's been hyping up Atlantis Squarepants has explicitly hyped up the DS version instead, almost as if the console version doesn't even exist. Well damn, okay. Don't worry fans, in the future I will definitely try to do your game proud. Not today, but one day. So on this adventure we have seen many highs and many lows. Well, okay, we've seen a couple of highs and mostly just a whole lot of lows. If I were to tell you that most SpongeBob games are not good, I feel like you wouldn't be shocked. To wrap this journey up, I figured we should take a look at one more game. Another platformer that I haven't talked about until now. One that released right in between Super Sponge and Battle for Bikini Bottom. Ooh, that's exciting. And it really makes you think, you know, if BFBB was so fondly remembered, what does that say about the platformer that released only 1 year earlier on all the same consoles? It really makes you wonder. SpongeBob SquarePants, Revenge of the SpongeBob accidentally unleashes the Flying Dutchman from the bottle he's been contained in, and then seeking revenge for said capture, he starts hypnotizing different citizens around Bikini Bottom to join his crew, leaving the absorbent one to save the day. Another game where the entire plot is basically summarized within the title. Truly the sign of a work of art. Also, I may be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure the Flying Dutchman isn't a magical genie. Not really sure where this whole releasing from a bottle business is all about, but okay. This game has always mystified me because in essence, it is still a collectathon 3D platformer. What did Battle for Bikini Bottom do so right that this game failed at? Well, the graphics are certainly part of the problem. Sweet King Jellyfish, this game is ugly. I get it, you know, it's the very first 3D SpongeBob game on consoles, I understand, but man, it is really hard to go back to this. BFBB released only a year later, meaning it was being developed around the same time, right? That's how game development works? Well, we clearly know where the effort went. So, okay, pretty typical layout here. There are multiple objectives to complete in each level, and doing so will get you a nice new shiny thing. This time, letters that spell out the word SpongeBob. And yeah, you know, you just keep doing that until you inevitably fall asleep. Chances are that'll be pretty quick. Running and jumping feel incredibly sluggish, combat feels like you're never actually hitting your target when you want to, and progression feels totally aimless. I honestly got lost multiple times because I had no idea what I needed to do to get to the next level. Trying to figure out how to get Sandy to come out of her cave so I can go follow her and then fight her in hand-to-hand combat, that took way longer than it should have. I just wanted to beat her up. Race Squidward to the Krusty Krab. Ah, okay, that's kind of funny. He's walking slow because he doesn't want to go to work. That's pretty funny, I'll give it that. Haha, sucker, I win. Oh, he was here first. And they don't even refer to the fact that we were just racing. Okay. The game is functional enough so I was able to get everything I needed to unlock level 2 and progress, totally fine. But once I got into level 2, well, one of the first things that you're requested to do is deliver food to the citizens of downtown Bikini Bottom. You know, this big city that you've never been in before that's really dark and you gotta find apartment numbers on top of the doors and just hope that within the time limit, you get it right. How did they think this was okay? I have no idea where I'm going. My favorite thing is you not only need to have the number right, but you gotta make sure you're on the correct street too. When I tell you I found the right number but I was on the wrong street, oh, I was thrilled. Ugh, the UI is terrible too. What's with this unfiltered yellow text over the gameplay? Is the game even finished? Man, not even the music is worth talking about. You know, maybe the soundtrack is overall fine, you know, that could be a possibility, but for most of the time I played this game, you're better off wearing this jellyfish costume because yeah, there's a costume mechanic in this game, even though it doesn't really add much of anything. But when you do wear the jellyfishing costume, it forces the same jolly song on you the entire time you're wearing it. Why even have a soundtrack at that point? The most curiosity I had with this one is simply seeing what the different stages were all about, so I put in a few hours just to entertain said curiosity, and once they said SpongeBob could explore Sandy's tree dome without a helmet on because of a couple of leaks that made the floor wet, and one of the tasks is to plug up said leaks, which would, I don't know, eliminate his ability to breathe, that's when I knew this game was an absolute lost cause. Also, when I walked into Sandy's house, my game restarted itself for some reason, and I lost all my progress, so yeah, that's the end of that. Oh, I really put myself on a path that I am not proud of. SpongeBob SquarePants video games are the mixed bag to end all mixed bags, but I now know that you superfans are going to be asking yourself one final question. When is Ant going to be taking a look at the GBA and DS games? There's like 20 titles left to look at. Oh, son of a...